The outer ring of Council space was usually silent, calm, and safe. For years, Council patrol ships traveled across these dark space lanes without fear. The Council ruled hundreds of worlds and almost no species dared to challenge them. Captain Rollins stood on the bridge of the patrol cruiser Vathos. He had served the Council for 30 long years. He had seen pirate raids, border fights, and one small rebellion. But today something felt wrong. There was a strange tension in the air, like the quiet before a storm. "Any movement on scanners?" Rollins asked. "Nothing, Captain," the operator replied. "All sectors clear." Rollins nodded slowly. Everything looked normal. The bright blue light of a distant star shone on the cruiser's silver hull. The ship glided smoothly through space like it always did. But Rollins could not shake the strange feeling in his chest. Silence. Deep and heavy. At 14:07 local ship time, the scanners blinked once. Then a single red dot appeared in the center of the holographic display. The operator stared at it. "Unidentified object entering system." "One ship?" Rollins asked. "Yes, but the reading is strange," the operator said. "It's small. Too small for a warship." Rollins leaned closer. "Put it on the main screen." The darkness ahead shimmered. A small shape slowly appeared, silent, cold, almost invisible. It was a human ship. A tiny craft, maybe 1/5 the size of the Vathos. There were no glowing shields, no heavy weapon ports, no bright Council markings. Just a dark hull drifting in the void. The bridge officers smirked. "A primitive design. Humans built this. Looks like a cargo ship. We can blow it up with one shot." Rollins raised his hand. "Stay careful. Humans don't follow normal Council patterns." Even he did not feel threatened yet. The human ship sent no lights, no messages. It didn't move. It just floated there like a hunter waiting for prey. Commander Tato stepped forward. "Captain, should we demand identification?" "Do it." The Vathos sent the standard Council warning. "Identify or be fired upon." The bridge waited. No reply. 5 seconds passed. 10 seconds. 15. Still silence. Then the human ship powered up a weapon. But it wasn't an energy cannon. It wasn't plasma. It wasn't anything modern. The weapons officer whispered, "Captain? I don't understand." No energy signature. No radiation. A long metal barrel slowly extended from the small ship. Magnetic rings glowed faintly along its length. Rollins froze. "It can't be," he muttered. "A railgun. They are using a physical weapon. That technology is ancient." Mira, the weapons officer, shouted. The operator's hands shook. "Captain, that weapon is charging faster than anything I've ever seen." Before Rollins could speak, the human ship fired. There was no flash. No explosion. Only a thin line, like a silver needle, moving at impossible speed. It hit the Council cruiser Targon, positioned 2 kilometers away. The Targon didn't explode. It simply folded as if punched through by a god. A perfect hole tore straight through its core. The cruiser split into 2 glowing halves, drifting apart like a broken toy. No one on the Vathos bridge breathed. Then the human ship fired again. A second shot pierced a battleship like soft cloth. Fire burst across the hull. Atmosphere vented in violent white streams. The battleship died in seconds. Alarms screamed across every Council communication channel. "Evasive maneuvers." Rollins shouted. But it didn't matter. The railgun fired a 3rd time. Then a 4th. Then a 5th. Each shot destroyed another Council ship. No shields could stop it. No armor slowed it down. The human railgun cut everything apart like paper. The human ship did not move. It gave no warning. It did not speak. It simply erased everything in its way. Council officers panicked. People shouted, ran, grabbed controls, but nothing worked. All their technology felt useless now. Their pride meant nothing. Rollins gripped the console. What is their goal? Why one ship? Why this weapon? Before anyone could answer, a new alert flashed. Another human ship had appeared. Then another. Then 5 more. They appeared instantly. No warp trails. No jump signatures. They were teleporting. The operator whispered in fear. "Captain, the humans are using teleporters. Not jump drives. Something new. Something we don't understand." Rollins felt cold fear. He could almost hear his own heartbeat. This wasn't a raid. This wasn't a mistake. This was the beginning of a war. The human ships slowly turned their railgun barrels toward the heart of the system, toward the Council flagship, the symbol of centuries of Council rule. The bridge lights flickered. The ground shook. Fear spread across every face. Captain Rollins finally understood the truth. "This is not just an attack," he said quietly. "This is the day the Council's dominion begins to fall." And then the railgun charged again. The war had just begun. The Vathos drifted slowly through the burning wreckage of Council ships. Captain Rollins stood still, staring at the spreading fire across the dark sky. Part of him could not believe what he had just seen. A single human ship had destroyed 5 Council war cruisers in minutes. No warnings. No mistakes. No mercy. The bridge was quiet. No one wanted to speak first. The officers watched their screens with shaking hands, as if even breathing too loudly might attract another shot. Commander Tatos finally broke the silence. "Captain, what now?" Rollins did not answer. He kept his eyes on the strange human ship in the distance. It did not move. It did not speak. It only floated like a silent machine of death. Then a new alert flashed across every console. Teleport signature detected. Mira, the weapons officer, leaned closer. Another human ship? Before Rollins could reply, space rippled in front of them. A bright wave flashed once and then, just like that, another human vessel appeared. No jump tunnel. No warp light. No energy trail. It simply appeared like it had been there the whole time. Rollins felt a cold shock run through him. This is impossible. But it was not the end. A second teleport signature formed. Then a third. Then 5 more. Human ships materialized around the Council patrol formation with silent precision. Each one small, dark, and carrying the same deadly railgun. The space around the Council cruisers began to feel like a trap closing slowly, calmly, confidently. Mira whispered, "Sir, they are forming a circle around us." Rollins forced himself to stand tall. "All ships maintain distance. Do not fire unless attacked again." Across the comm channels, Council officers sounded panicked. "Where are they coming from? How do we block teleport entries? We can't track them." Requesting orders. But no one had answers. The humans gave none either. One of the new ships raised its barrel. This time the railgun glowed brighter than before, charged and hungry. Rollins felt his chest tighten. Brace for impact. But the shot was not fired. Instead, all human ships rotated at once, aiming their railguns at a single point in space. A blue-white glow spread across the darkness. The Council officers frowned, confused. "What are they aiming at?" Mira asked. "There's nothing there," the operator said. "No object. No ship. No signal." Rollins looked closer. His breath caught. "No, they're aiming at something that hasn't arrived yet." A second later, space tore open. A massive Council flagship exited warp right into the middle of the human formation, unaware of the danger. Its hull was gold and silver, with bright symbols of the Council Dominion carved across its surface. It was the pride of the patrol fleet. And it arrived in the worst possible place. Teleporter versus warp. Surprise versus tradition. The old rule versus the new threat. The humans fired at the same instant. 6 railgun shots blasted forward with thunder-like speed. There was no explosion, only straight, perfect penetration. The flagship froze in space as clean holes appeared across its armor. A moment later, fire burst from inside the ship like a dying star. Its engines blew apart. Its shields collapsed. Its entire frame folded inward, splitting under the pressure. The flagship, one of the strongest war vessels in the galaxy, broke like paper. Gasps filled the Vathos bridge. "This is unreal. How strong are they? Why are they attacking us? What do they want?" Rollins clenched his jaw. "They are not attacking us. They are sending a message." Mira turned slowly. "What message, Captain?" Rollins looked at every terrified officer around him. "That the age of Council rule is over." Silence followed. Heavy, sharp silence. Another teleport alert blinked. This time it was not 1 ship. Not 2. Not 5. Dozens. Dozens of human vessels flashed into existence across the outer ring sector. They formed perfect attack lines, perfect formations, perfect angles. No chaos. No noise. Just cold precision. Tatos stepped closer to the captain. "Sir, if they fire again we won't survive." Rollins nodded. "I know." At Central Command, the Council was screaming across the comm. "Retreat at once. Fall back to safer sectors. Do not engage those ships." But it was too late. The humans had already changed the rules of war. One of the new human ships transmitted a single signal. No voice. No words. Just a symbol. A burning railgun barrel crossed with a teleport wave. A new flag. A new force. A new beginning. Rollins understood the meaning instantly. This is not a small conflict, he whispered. This is the start of a human war machine. Tato swallowed hard. What do we do now? Rollins closed his eyes for a moment. We survive, and warn the galaxy. And behind them the human guns glowed brighter. The war had only begun. Captain Rollins stood on the bridge of the vat hose, his mind still struggling to process what he had witnessed. The first human railgun shot had destroyed a cruiser like it was made of paper. The next 4 shots had torn through the strongest Council ships with no effort. But now, something even stranger was happening. The operator's voice trembled. Captain, more human ships appearing. Rollins stared at the screen. There were no warp trails. No jump flashes. No hyperspace signatures. The new ships simply popped into existence, as if the space around them had been sliced open and replaced. One officer whispered, "It is like they are teleporting." Her voice cracked. But teleporting over long distance is impossible. Rollins was no longer sure what was impossible. The bridge lights flickered again. A second wave appeared. Then a third. Small human ships, all identical, all silent, all armed with the same deadly railguns. They floated in perfect formation, unmoving, like statues waiting for a signal. Rollins clenched his jaw. What do they want? Why are they not talking? No one answered. Across the ship, fear spread like cold air. Even the most experienced officers, the ones who had survived rebellions and border wars, looked unsettled. A new alert beeped. The tactical screen zoomed out, showing other parts of the system. The vat hose was not the only patrol ship in trouble. Council patrols everywhere were reporting strange readings. Sudden mass disappearances. Ships losing contact. Fleets collapsing. It was spreading fast. Rollins leaned forward. Put the live reports on screen. The holoscreen split into several small windows. In each one, Council ships were dying, destroyed by thin metal shots moving faster than sensors could track. But something else caught his eye. In one video, a Council frigate fired at a human ship. The human ship vanished. Not warped. Not dodged. It literally disappeared. Then it reappeared behind the frigate. A railgun shot followed. The frigate split in 2. Silence fell across the vat hose bridge. Commander Tatos whispered, That is teleport combat." Rollins swallowed hard. If humans can teleport in battle, this war is lost before it begins. The ship trembled again as another railgun hit the outer shields. The vat hose was lucky, it had not been the main target. Humans were focusing on the large warships first, crushing the Council fleet's backbone. The comm panel blinked. A message from High Command. Rollins opened it. The face of High Chancellor Maris appeared, pale and tense. All ships listen. The Council is under attack across 8 sectors. We have never seen these weapons. We have never seen this teleport technology. Survive if you can. Retreat if you must. Her voice shook, something no one had ever heard from a Chancellor before. Reinforcements are coming. Hold your positions. Do not engage unless you must. The message ended. Rollins stared at the screen. Hold position, he muttered. How can we hold anything against this? A railgun shot flashed. Another cruiser nearby folded in half. The operator cried out, "Captain, enemy ship teleporting directly beside us." Rollins spun toward the screen. A human ship appeared only a few hundred meters away, close enough that the vat hose could see the dim blue glow pulsing along its hull. It looked like a shark swimming beside a bleeding fish. Rollins shouted, "Shields up. All power to evasive." But before the order could finish, the human ship vanished again. A second later, it reappeared above them. Then below them. Then beside them. Teleport jumps happening every 2 seconds. Mira, the weapons officer, whispered, "They are testing us. Studying our response. They are learning our movements." Rollins felt his stomach twist. "We're not fighting a simple fleet," he said. "We're fighting a perfect strategy." A loud explosion echoed through the hall. A railgun round had grazed the engine section, sending sparks across the bridge. Alarms blared. Officers scrambled to their stations. Damage to lower decks. Mira shouted, "We are losing pressure. Repair teams moving." Rollins scanned the field. The human ships formed a circle around the remaining Council ships. None of them were speaking. None of them were sending any messages. This was not a negotiation. This was a warning. Another alert flashed. "Captain," the operator whispered. "A massive energy spike from human ships." Rollins froze. The human fleet glowed brighter, brighter, until the space around them distorted again. Teleport signatures, large scale, the operator screamed. Every human ship vanished at the same moment. Rollins waited for them to reappear. For 10 long seconds nothing happened. Then, the entire human fleet reappeared around the main council flagship at the center of the system. Rollins felt cold fear spread through his chest. "They are going for the heart," he whispered. Mira looked at him with wide eyes. "Captain, if the flagship falls, the council dominion collapses." Rollins stared at the distant flash of railgun fire. "This war started with one railgun shot," he said softly. "And now, teleporters are going to finish it." The council homeworld had not seen fear in centuries. Their armies were large, their fleets were powerful, and their laws were absolute. But after the railgun massacre at the border system, fear spread through the halls like cold smoke. Officers whispered. Commanders argued. No one understood how the humans had done it. High Chancellor Maris stood in the war room, staring at a giant star map glowing on the table. Red lights flashed across dozens of systems. Human ships had appeared in places where no jump route existed. Lord Estelle, Master of Fleets, marched forward. "We must move the first armada," he said. "If humans reach the capital, everything will fall." A young officer tried to speak. "But, humans have no warp trail. They appear from nothing. How do we?" Maris raised her hand sharply. "We will hold the line. Humans cannot be everywhere. They are only using small ships. They are testing us." But she was wrong. Far away on the patrol cruiser Vathos, Captain Rollins felt something change. The air seemed heavier. The lights flickered for a moment. His operator's voice shook as she spoke. "Captain, I'm reading new signals. 10, no 20, no. Captain, hundreds of signals." "What sector?" Rollins demanded. "All sectors," she whispered. On the main screen space twisted. Not like warp, not like a normal jump. It was silent. Smooth. Almost gentle. The stars bent for 1 second, and then dozens of human ships appeared at once, blinking into existence like ghosts forming from shadows. The bridge officers froze. Rollins whispered, "Teleportation, impossible?" But it was real. Each human ship had the same dark hull. No energy glow. No shield lines. Just long railgun barrels glowing with soft magnetic light. Commander Tato stepped back in fear. "Captain, we cannot fight this." Rollins knew he was right. The humans were not using warp. They were not using hyperspace. They were not even using slip gates. They were using something completely unknown, something the Council had never imagined. The comm channel opened suddenly. It was General Carr from Central Command. "All patrol ships, hold your positions. Reinforcements are coming. Do not fire unless ordered." But before the Vathos could reply, a human ship teleported directly behind them. No warning. No charge-up. It simply appeared like a shadow taking shape in air. Weapons Officer Mira screamed, "Railgun charging. They have us locked." Rollins slammed his hand on the console. Evasive. Too late. A single railgun shot fired. It pierced the Vathos lower decks in one clean line. The ship shook violently. Sparks flew across the bridge. Consoles exploded. A fire raged near the back wall. "We lost main power." Mira shouted. "Engine 3 is gone. Hull breach on decks 5 to 8. Rollins struggled to stay on his feet. "Seal all lower decks. Get emergency shields online." But the human ship didn't fire again. It didn't need to. It teleported away instantly, vanishing into nothing. Rollins stared in disbelief. "They can fire and escape in the same second." Tatos whispered, "Captain, this is not war. This is execution." In the council capital, the alarms went wild. Dozens of bright red warnings appeared across the hologram map. Human teleport signatures were appearing near shipyards, near defense platforms, near supply stations, even near the outer ring of the capital world. The council commanders felt fear for the first time. General Carr slammed his hands on the table. "They are inside our borders. They bypassed our fleets. They bypassed our walls. This cannot be happening." But it was. Maris clenched her jaw. "Why are they doing this? What do humans want?" Lord Estelle spoke quietly. "They want to end us." Back in space, the human ships continued their silent attack. One teleported inside a council formation and fired 5 shots in 5 seconds, destroying 3 cruisers like they were paper toys. Another teleported above a station and fired straight down its reactor core. Another teleported behind a dreadnought, ending it with one perfect railgun strike. The Council fleets were powerful, but they were slow, predictable, built for old wars. Human technology was something else. Rollins watched helplessly as the sky filled with burning metal. His own ship drifted, half-broken, engines failing. He whispered one question, the same question echoing across the entire council. Where did humans learn this power? No one knew. But everyone sensed the same dark truth. This was only the beginning. The council fleets were burning across the outer sectors, and every commander was now afraid of one word: teleporters. No one understood how the humans were doing it. No warp trails. No jump signatures. No warning. Human ships simply appeared, and when they appeared, someone died. Captain Rollins stood on the bridge of the vat hose, staring at the empty space ahead. The human destroyers had stopped firing. They floated in perfect formation, silent and still, like statues of metal and death. Why are they not moving? Mira asked in a low voice. Rollins had no answer. He had served the Council Navy for 30 years. He had seen many battles, many surprises. But nothing looked like this. Human ships did not behave like normal war vessels. They did not chase. They did not rush. They did not roar forward like hungry beasts. They waited. They watched. And Rollins felt something cold inside his chest. They are planning something, he whispered. On the human destroyer horizon, Commander Hale studied the Council fleet from behind a glowing tactical screen. His expression was calm, too calm for a man who had just destroyed half a squadron alone. Phase 2 is ready, a human technician said. Hale nodded once. No transmissions. No warnings. Execute silently. Yes, sir. In the next moment, every human ship began to glow faintly, tiny blue rings forming around their hulls. Not warp rings. Not jump rings. Something new. Something impossible. Back on the vat hose, Mira shouted, "Captain! Energy spikes on all human ships." Rollins leaned forward. "Shields up. All units." But he never finished the sentence. With a flash, soft, quiet, almost gentle, the human ships vanished. Not teleported away. Teleported past them. A new alarm blared across the bridge. "Captain," the operator cried. "They have reappeared inside the inner system. They bypassed our entire defensive line." Rollins froze. Teleporters, used as weapons. Used for strategy. Used for speed humans were never known for. How are they doing this?" Mira whispered. Rollins finally said the words no council officer ever imagined. "We do not understand human technology anymore." The news reached the council high command within seconds. Admirals shouted. Generals argued. Maps updated faster than eyes could follow. Human ships were now in positions that should take hours or days to reach, even with the fastest council warp engines. But humans had arrived in minutes. "Impossible," one commander shouted. "They cannot break the laws of physics." High Chancellor Maris slammed her hand on the table. "Then the laws have changed," she said. A long silence followed. Everyone understood what she meant. The council was falling behind. Humanity was rising ahead. Faster than anyone expected. Meanwhile, inside the inner system, the teleported human fleet moved again, slow, controlled, and without firing. Their railguns were charged but silent. It looked almost peaceful. But to every council scanner, it was the most terrifying thing ever seen. "They are scanning the system," the vat hose operator reported. "But they are not firing." Rollins narrowed his eyes. "They did not come to destroy everything," he murmured. "Not yet." Mira swallowed. "Then why are they here?" Rollins answered quietly. "To send a message." On the horizon, Commander Hale received a transmission. Silent, encrypted, secure. He read it and a small smile formed on his face. "Command has approved Phase 3, he said. A technician hesitated. "Are we sure, sir? This will reveal our teleport range." Hale looked out at the stars. "They killed millions of our people. The council must understand what comes next." He raised his hand. "Begin." Back in the council war room, alarms shook the chamber. Multiple teleport signatures detected. A tech officer screamed. "How many?" Maris demanded. 6. No. 11. No. 20 human ships inside our main orbital zone. The room erupted. That was impossible. The main capital world was protected by layers of detection scanners, gravity nets, warp tracers, and defense rings. It was the most secure place in council space. No fleet had ever reached its orbit in the last 600 years. Until today. On the capital world, The night sky flashed with blue rings as human destroyers materialized above the Council's strongest defense platforms. But they did not fire. They hovered, railguns pointed downward like the barrels of executioners waiting for a final order. The entire planet froze. People on the streets, workers in towers, guards in barracks. Everyone looked up. Everyone saw the same thing. Humans had arrived. Humans had come to the heart of the Council. And they came without fear. Rollins watched the situation updates with shaking hands. This is the end of Council superiority, he whispered. Mira stepped closer. Captain, what do we do now? Rollins took a deep breath. We survive, he said. And we pray the humans still want peace. Because if they don't. He looked at the glowing screen, railguns aimed at the Council homeworld. Then nothing will save us. The human fleet did not fire. Not yet. They waited for something. Something big. Something final. And the galaxy held its breath. The Council's dominion was cracking. And the next move belonged to humanity. The human fleet moved silently through the dark space lanes, closer and closer to the Council capital. Every ship was black, sleek, and deadly, like a shadow moving across the stars. No lights, no transmissions, no warnings. The Council could not see them coming until it was too late. Inside the human command ship, Captain Lang stared at the holographic map of the Council's main system. All ships in position? He asked. Yes, sir, replied Lieutenant Mira. Teleport units ready. Railguns loaded. Good, Lang said. Then we end this. Meanwhile, back at the Council capital, alarms screamed across every bridge. Unidentified objects detected inside the perimeter, shouted Commander Raylan. How did they get past our sensors? But the human ships were not using normal warp or jump drives. They simply appeared, 1, 2, 10 ships, materializing suddenly above Council defense stations. In a single instant, teleportation had placed humanity's most powerful ships at the center of Council territory. The first railgun fired. A bright streak of metal ripped through the flagship, slicing open armor and hull like paper. Explosions tore through compartments. The Council generals froze, unable to comprehend the destruction. Then the teleporters activated. Ships vanished from one point and appeared behind the Council's fleet. Another railgun shot, and another cruiser folded perfectly in half. Panic spread like wildfire. The Council's fleets tried to form a line, tried to fight back, but every tactic failed. Humans were everywhere, appearing in places no one thought possible. Every railgun shot was precise. Every teleportation strike was unpredictable. From the command bridge of the Council flagship, High Chancellor Maris screamed orders. Use all defensive satellites. Fire every weapon. It was useless. Railgun projectiles pierced shields. Teleporting ships struck the flanks. Council officers were thrown off consoles as explosions shook the hull. The air filled with smoke, alarms, and chaos. Captain Lang watched calmly from the bridge of the human command ship. Keep moving, he said. Do not stop until the Council has nothing left to fight with. In minutes, the Council flagship was heavily damaged. Communications jammed. Subordinate ships were burning or drifting in space, destroyed faster than anyone could react. The human fleet did not slow down. They moved like a single organism, precise, efficient, and unstoppable. At last, the Council capital itself became a target. Teleporters carried human ships directly into the orbital space, bypassing every defense. Railguns fired. Explosions tore across the city stations, annihilating military centers and command structures. Maris, the High Chancellor, realized the truth too late. It is not just a strike, it is total war, she whispered. Lang's voice echoed in the command room. We do not stop because they fight. We stop when there is nothing left to resist. The Council's dominion was collapsing, shattered in every sector. Fleets, satellites, stations, and command posts. Obliterated by humanity's combination of ancient railgun technology and new teleportation methods. Outside, in the cold darkness of space, human ships floated like shadows among the burning wrecks. They had not even fired all their weapons. Their power was not just in destruction, it was in fear, precision, and unpredictability. The galaxy watched silently as the Council fell. The rulers who had controlled hundreds of worlds for centuries were gone. Their fleets destroyed. Their cities in ruins. All because humanity had struck with a single railgun shot, and then disappeared and reappeared to finish what it started. Captain Lang looked at the final display. Systems offline. No response from the Council. He allowed himself a small nod. It is done, he said quietly. In the vast silence of space, human ships gathered. The first strike had ended. But the message was clear. Anyone who dared challenge humanity would face the same unstoppable force. The galaxy was silent. Not a single council ship moved. Not a single fleet dared challenge humanity. The great rulers who had ruled for centuries were gone, their dominion shattered. Human ships floated above the ruins of the council capital, sleek and black, like shadows watching the aftermath. Captain Lang stood on the command bridge, eyes fixed on the glowing remains of the council fleet. "Report," he said. Lieutenant Mira checked the displays. "All council fleets destroyed or immobilized. Communications offline. No resistance remains." Lang nodded. "Good. Then let's make sure this silence lasts." Back on Earth, the leaders of humanity convened. They had watched every strike, every fleet destroyed. For the first time, they allowed themselves a quiet moment of satisfaction, not for revenge but for justice. Humanity had been underestimated for too long. They would never be weak again. Captain Lang sent the first message across the galaxy: Council dominion is no more. Humanity will protect all who cannot protect themselves. Any species that attacks innocence will face the same fate. The message spread like wildfire. Worlds that had feared the Council now looked to humanity with awe and caution. Entire systems began to reconsider their loyalties. Diplomats who once served the Council reached out for peace. Traders and civilians saw that humanity had power and discipline. Meanwhile, human ships began to patrol the outer sectors, ensuring no rogue forces could rise. They did not conquer. They did not enslave. But they made one thing clear: humanity had the strength to defend itself and no one would threaten them again. In the Council ruins, High Chancellor Maris and the surviving leaders huddled. They had never imagined such a defeat. Every tactic they had relied on, every weapon they had trusted had failed. Their empire, gone in hours. Lang watched the Council's collapse from the bridge of his ship, calm and determined. "This is not the end," he said. "It is a beginning. A beginning where humanity leads by example, and by strength." As human ships returned to Earth and the colonies, the galaxy began to shift. Alliances changed. Old powers fell. New powers rose. And through it all, one message remained clear: humanity would never bow. The stars seemed quieter now, but that quiet was filled with tension. Every species knew that the humans who had struck with railguns and teleporters were no longer just survivors. They were a force to be reckoned with. And somewhere, deep in space, Captain Lang and his fleet prepared for the future. Not with fear but with certainty. Humanity had awakened and the galaxy would never forget. The war had ended, but the story of humanity's rise had only just begun.